Hello, my name is Kyle and welcome to the channel. This is The Conservative Take. Here we take content of culture, TV, movies, news, and politics and filter it to you the right way. If this is your first time here, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button and that bell icon so you don't miss any future content. And also, if you want to help us and join us, then please click that join button to find out how to do that. In this particular video, I'm going to go over the past few days that I missed in some videos because I've been trying to prep videos for the past 3 days, but every time I do one, it is incredible how antiquated it is within like 3 or 4 hours. And so I don't really have a comfort level of putting stuff out there that is not quite accurate and up to date. That being said, I want to do a video because it's been way too long. Another reason is because people that I'm helping me typically to do content and give me stuff and to prep my social media stuff is doing other things with other sites and other areas and helping us in our war room. So the resources are really sort of limited at the moment, but that's okay because we have been working really hard to get this information to you. So what I want to do is give you the past 4 days, what's going on, give you an idea of what the Trump strategy is, what key states are looking at, what they're trying to do there, what the media is trying to do and not do for us, quite frankly, not do for us. And also what I feel is going to be the key indicator that will let us know that Trump has this thing in the bag. And I'm already seeing some of that happening right now. And lastly, I'll cover some breaking news that happened within the past hour or so, which will probably be obsolete in the next hour after this video comes out. So, but I want to at least give you where we are all the way up to this video, which is being recorded on November the 15th at about 12 o'clock on Sunday. So what I want to do right now is jump right into this presentation. But first, before I do that, go to our Parler page and see what we have there, because that's kind of our breaking news. We're putting stuff out there. We're putting stuff out there constantly, and that is where a lot of this will come from. So you can go back and see this stuff here as well, and much, much more. All right, so that's at the parler.theconservativetake.com. It'll take you directly there. It's a direct link. All right, so let's jump right in here. So there are 4 key states that the Trump legal team is looking at in terms of 2 things. I mentioned that in a second here. The 4 key states are going to be Arizona, it's going to be Pennsylvania, we're going to have Georgia, and we're going to have Wisconsin. Now, what the Trump campaign is trying to do here simply is they're trying to do 2 things. Number one, they're trying to delay the certification of these particular states' votes. What that simply means is the Secretary of State of each of those states has the responsibility to certify the election. So, but it's the first thing they're trying to do. They're trying to delay that process. They tried it in Michigan this past weekend, and it was shut down by a lower judge, but they're going to appeal that. So what's the second thing they're trying to do is directly at the same time, by the way, is go after the legislators of these 4 states. Well, what I mean by that is let them be the ones to determine when they're going to do an audit, when they're going to do a recanvassing, when they're going to do a recount, because it comes down to the state legislators in terms of their responsibility to handle their own elections. It has nothing to do with the judicial side of this. It's all down to the House and Senate of each particular state to handle their elections. That is how it works based on the Constitution. And what the media won't tell you is that Democrats have been trying to thwart this all along and trying to bury the stories of them trying to undermine the process of the constitutional right and authority of state legislators to do their jobs. That's something that they're not going to tell you. So those 2 things, number one, delay certification, and then at the same time, go after and get the state legislators who, by the way, all these 4 states are all controlled by Republicans, to delay the certification until there's a recanvassing, re-audit, and re-vote count of all of that, because that's the only way that they can be sure that the right people voted. All right, so that's the strategy right now. And so what we're looking at here is what we've seen in Michigan. We've seen, like I said before, that lower judge in Michigan turned down the recanvassing or the delay of the certification. That was done on Friday around noon. Well, since then, Michigan Republican senators have been requesting this to Secretary of State, that is, to audit this, all right, and to delay that. So that's what I was talking about before. That was the second part of that. And also we saw how we're having a situation now with inconsistencies in the voting systems using a software called Dominion. Dominion is a software company that is controlling these voting machines of several states around. And we're seeing lots of so-called glitches. And these glitches have been identified. And Rudy Giuliani, who is an expert in bringing down big cases, he did that in New York early on, which is how he got his big name, how he got famous, from basically bringing down the mob in a massive RICO case. And so he's been investigating this and tweeting and going on the news to show what he's found. And what we've found has been corroborated by other organizations as well. We saw that Maria Bartiromo of Fox News dropped a bombshell here saying that this is about to explode. She tweeted here that, actually she didn't tweet, she actually used Parler to do this. She says here that a massive national security issues, massive, I'm told, dirty Venezuelan and Cuban money behind Dominion. Dominion, again, is that software company. The software has also components from China. This is about to explode. So she went on to Parler to talk about this, and Trump also tweeted last week saying that based on the OAN report, that Dominion deleted 2.7 million Trump votes nationwide. Data analysis finds that 221,000 Pennsylvania votes were switched from President Trump to Biden. 941,000 Trump votes were deleted. States using Dominion voting systems switched 435,000 votes from Trump to Biden. That came from President Trump last week. So as you can imagine, there's been a lot of information that's been coming out, and it's just so hard to do a video on any one of this because there's just so much. And by the time you do a video prep, it's just so much. So I could do a live stream, but at the same time, it does me no good to do that if I don't have the right information in front of me. I'm just fumbling for like an hour, just going through information. I'd much rather do it in a concise way as here. So this is where we stood as of Friday. And we saw that another story come out from Gateway Pundit saying the analysis of election night data from all states shows millions of votes either switched from President Trump to Biden or were lost using Dominion and other systems. Mind you, none of those went from Biden to Trump. It was either from Trump to Biden or they just vanished. Now that is voter fraud. And that's one thing that the Trump campaign is pushing heavily, and we'll see something that happened a little bit later, and it may or may not be connected, but it seems like it could be. There's a lot of things happening here as we go into this further. So we also saw the glitch first rear its ugly head in Michigan, where there was a fixed glitch that actually helped a losing candidate win. The Republican lost, they fixed the glitch, and he won. That happened back on November 6th. Then we see that Michigan software glitch tallies thousands of Republican votes as Democrats. And that's what the chairman of the Republican Party in Michigan or in Pennsylvania said. So we're seeing this happen all over the place. This is from different outlets here. We're seeing here that Wisconsin Assembly Speaker Robin Voice directs committee to review statewide election amid concerns over massive midnight ballot dump for Joe Biden. As you know, at 4 o'clock in the morning, hundreds of thousands of votes dropped into Michigan and Wisconsin, and no one knows anything about this. Unmarked vans dropping off. There have been reports that they were unsealed out-of-state ballots just being dumped into the election headquarters at 4 o'clock in the morning. See, and then you have here, Politico put this out, said that the cause of election day glitch in Georgia county is still unexplained. This is Politico. Says the cause of election day glitch in Georgia counties still are unexplained. The problem prompted a judge to extend voting hours. So there's undeniable that something is going on, and they're looking at it. And I believe, personally, this is my opinion, that they know what's going on, that they've known for a long time that's going on, and that there's going to be a huge breaking of this at some point. I don't know that for a fact. I just feel that way from everything that I've seen. Also, we have here where Kevin McCullough said the spread in Pennsylvania is 45,000. They've now found enough glitch switches in Pennsylvania to give the lead back to President Trump. The most recent occurred only 1 hour. The most recent occurred in only 1 hour. And this, again, was from last week. Here's the information here. So, as you guys see, there's a lot of stuff happening right now. And we just don't know. We just do not know. So, in Pennsylvania also rules that last week, in favor of Trump, that the Secretary of State did not have the authority to change the deadline. That's important to understand. The Secretary of State did not have the authority to change the deadline. Why? Because it goes down to the state legislature to handle the elections. Those votes that were counted after the deadline are going to be tossed out. That was a huge set of news that happened in the news last week that no one wanted to talk about, especially on the left. But that was very significant. And one thing we need to understand is that these kind of cases go and extend and snowball from state to state to state as precedent is being set. States can just look back and say, hey, well, look at Pennsylvania. Hey, look at California, which we'll get to in a second. And look at these other things that are happening so they can feel comfortable that their ruling will not be overturned. Nobody likes to have their rulings overturned. So here, check this out. Here it says here, in this article here, in the same article, says, as the counting votes in Arizona, Georgia, and especially Pennsylvania continues, most of the press and punditry have concluded that Vice President Biden has won the 2020 election. Certainly, a substantial majority of the rest of us are suffering from election fatigue and eager for this drama to be over, without disagreeing with the conventional wisdom about the final tally when all the legal votes are counted. All the legal votes. I believe the current consensus is missing the fact that Trump has a second viable, stealthy road to victory. So, stealthy road to victory. Now, this is interesting because this is going to segue into my next talking point here, and that is what I think we'll see once we know the left has lost. Once we start to see the fact that they no longer are considering President Biden the president-elect, but looking at President Trump as being the stealer or causing a coup to overthrow the will of the people. In other words, once the media goes from President-elect Biden to Trump is trying to steal the election, means to me that they pretty much understand that it's not going their way. And we're already kind of seeing that right now. Prior to the election even happening, they were setting it up anyway that was going to happen. They said about the red mirage, how there would be a big push and all of a sudden that would come out later that Biden would win or that Trump would steal the election later. And so we're seeing here now in this article here, this is from the National Interest. This is not a conservative magazine, by the way. Donald Trump's stealthy road to victory. All right. And so what we're seeing here is that the verbiage here, is this a coup? We have asked a variety of humane, thoughtful people and also Henry Kissinger. Not a coup, but still bad for democracy. Is this a coup or just another Trump con? A post-election report from Minsk on the Potomac. Here we have, this summer, shortly after scores of cameo-wearing, heavily armored federal agents descended on Portland, Oregon to attack protesters, Charles Freed, Reagan's Solicitor General, pondered the implications of what was seeing on the streets. And this is prior to the election, by the way, that he saw scared him. And remember the use of paramilitaries by fascist leaders in the 1930s Europe, where he was born, and feared he was now witnessing a slide of paramilitarism in the United States. His family led basically what they're saying is that Trump is setting up military personnel to go into voting booths, to suppress votes, to oversee the election process. In other words, to militarize the election process because they were fearful. This is prior to the election, by the way. This isn't recent. Because they wanted to set the narrative that Trump was going to try and steal the election in a coup. But now it seems like they're going back to that narrative, potentially after this process now of him trying to verify the fraud and the election irregularities that we're seeing all over the place. And so the Trump campaign is trying their best to tackle this in many, many facets from different angles because it's an full court press on this because time is of the essence. So we're seeing a lot more of this. Here we have, this is from The Guardian. Can Trump actually stage a coup and stay in office? This is actually from after the election. This is from past Friday. So we're seeing more of this verbiage out there. I think the media is coming to the conclusion that we know what Trump really can win. And that people are saying, well, he may have a 20% chance of winning. And now you have like people on the left, like Van Jones, saying that Trump can win. And they're kind of putting a bug in people's ears, like, hey, guys, this is still very much a possibility. And by the way, if you haven't looked at the Constitution, you know, there's an amendment in there that says that, look, if we don't come to the full electoral college votes that you need to win, it goes back to the House of Representatives, where each state gets one vote to decide. And that legislation is determined by the state legislation. They appoint that. And basically, if your state is red, it's going to go for Trump. And because the Republicans have 30 states that are red or controlled by Republicans, then he would most certainly win re-election based on that alone. So as this drags out, as we get to the deadline, it will have to go to the House for determination, and the media does not want that. So they want to speed this up. They want to hide what's going on. They want to squash the fact that they're trying to delay audits and recanvassing and recounts. Even though it's not their responsibility, it goes down again to the state legislations to do it. Doesn't matter. And push their narrative to the media as well. They're going to try their best to try and push this forward as quickly as possible so they don't have to get to that point, regardless of how much fraud that's being uncovered. That is the game that's being played. The media is doing their best to try and disavow all of this, to ignore it, to make it seem like Trump is crazy, that his campaign is hopeless. Every single text or tweet that you'll see on YouTube or on Twitter or on Facebook, there's like a little annotation in there saying, this is not true. This is unverified evidence. We're seeing it all over the place because they're trying to seed people's minds that this is not a viable option for Trump, even though some of the key pundits are really saying behind the doors and behind the scenes that yes, Trump could absolutely win this thing. And with what we're seeing with the court decisions and what the legal team is trying to do, he absolutely has a very, very good shot of re-election. And in fact, I think personally, he will get reelected based on everything that I've seen and the fact that the people of this country won't stand by otherwise. We saw at least 200,000 people in D.C. yesterday and around the country, mind you, to go to state capitals and to let it be known what their position is and that we're backing the president and we want to see a fair, honest election where every legal vote is counted. That's very important because we want to make sure that the legislators understand that they have comfortability to know that they can do this without being attacked and ridiculed, that they have the support of the people. That's very, very important because if they're in a closet by themselves and feel isolated, they're probably going to go with the status quo. It's important for us to let our Congress people know, our legislators know, that we want a fair and honest election and we want this thing to happen the right way. If Trump loses straight up, so be it. But we don't want to be cheated out of our voice because this is a national security risk that we just cannot let go. If this goes through and people don't have confidence in their government, then number one, they're not going to vote. Number two, they may do something crazy. And also the Democrats are going to totally run the country into the ground because they're going to feel that they are just unopposed, above the law, can do whatever they want, and can enforce their leftist agenda on the rest of us who didn't vote for it. And that cannot stand. So, next, I want to talk to you about some breaking news that happened just recently within the past few hours. Here we have a article from, I can't pronounce that, it's Le Informateur. It's a article from a Spanish outlet. And it isn't, like I said, it's in Spanish, and I can't find the article anywhere else. And so my war room found this and sent it to me and said, look, if you go to Google Translate and do it, you can get the actual translation of it. Or if you go to Safari and go to translation there, or if you go to a few other browsers, it'll let you translate it. So what I did was I did that, and I put it in a PDF, and I put a link in the description below so you can read the whole article for yourself in English. Essentially, it's a Biden member of his team and an ex-FBI agent was arrested for voter fraud in Texas. And here it says here, this is from the article, I have in my possession videotape interviews of witnesses attesting to the aforementioned people having groups of people completing thousands of absentee and mail-in ballots, including completing ballots for deceased individuals, illegally going into nursing homes with the complicity of the nursing home staff and filing out and forging signatures of nursing home residents, signing up homeless people as well. So that's the article. Check it out for yourself. And here we have Sidney Powell, who is an attorney on the Trump team. She said on Friday that there's, to say it mildly, she's going to unleash the Kraken. Essentially that she's got information that she's going to put out there, and there's going to be a lot of stuff happening really, really soon. And it's really, really important, I need to stress this, that the Trump campaign prove this, because it's going to be imperative to have the kind of evidence to not only convince the courts, but also to let the public understand and feel comfortable that this is a fair and honest election. Because it could be Biden on one side saying one thing, but it could be playing devil's advocate. It could be Trump doing the opposite thing on the other side, which is a fair assessment. We only want a fair election with every legal vote counting. So that's why it's really important to have substantiated evidence corroborated by affidavits, testimonies, obviously, which is the same thing essentially, forensic evidence, also statistical improbabilities. There's so many different things that convince a judge that this election has been fraudulent and things need to happen in terms of actions to correct it. So that's it here. Former FBI agent and Joe Biden staffer has been arrested. Kraken is coming. And also we have here in the election here in Georgia, Lin Wood, who's also an attorney on the Trump team, brought forth a lawsuit. This is from the Wayne Dupree website. Brought Georgia to its knees with a blistering lawsuit. I have a link to that also in the description. Check it out for yourself. Here's a snippet from it right here. Basically, now states District Court, Northern District of Georgia, of also voter fraud and allegations there as well, to make a determination for, again, like I said before, to delay certification and to force and to get the legislature behind us to stop any kind of certification before we get an audit or recanvassing or recount. All right. So, and also in California, this happened actually yesterday. A California judge rules that Governor Newsom overstepped on mail-in ballot mandate. This is interesting to know that again, this particular election in California doesn't affect the vote count. Someone said, this could be a situation where it happened before and then the legislation came in afterward and then corrected it. But the point is that the judge said that the governor overstepped his bounds. And that's the important thing. It's the mandate that we want set. It's the precedent we want set to let the courts know, to let the people know that it is down to the state legislators who control their local elections. They, in effect, can do whatever they want. They don't have to be bound by anyone else. So that's good to know. It says here that it does not change the outcome, but one issue, the governors, etc., overstepping their constitution, and it makes our cases everywhere else stronger because this thing can snowball, as I mentioned before. Earlier, I mentioned California. This is what I was talking about. All right, and then President Trump tweeted today, he said, the hand recount taking place in Georgia is a waste of time. They're not showing the matching signatures. Call off the recount until they allow the match. Don't let the radical left Dems steal the election. Again, what I was saying before, they're wanting to get to state legislators to have a valid, legal recount and canvassing before they can certify it, not just counting bad ballots. That doesn't do you any good, especially if you're commingling stuff. So it's also an issue is how are the courts going to tell us how to resolve it? Are they going to send it back to the states? Are they going to throw votes out? Which typically the Supreme Court doesn't want to do. But, who knows what they're going to do. But the important thing is be involved and let your local state legislators know what your thoughts are and that you want a clean, legal election and you want a fair outcome for everybody. Because really that's the only way we can save this republic, because if we don't have a fair, legal election, we're going to have what we call a banana republic where anything goes and it's just total chaos. And that's, I think, what a lot of people in power want, unfortunately. Also, lastly, he says here that the election is rigged. We will win. He's very confident. And I think all of us should be confident in many, many ways, because this is really a battle for our republic. And I think this is something that we all need to be involved in. And again, get involved any way you want. You want to do a YouTube video, do a YouTube video. Send me a message, comment on our Parler, go on Twitter, make it be known. The more people we have doing this, the better. Again, the turnout this weekend at the rallies in DC and around the country, for that matter, were phenomenal. Huge turnouts. And by the way, all peaceful on our side, even though many Trump supporters were being attacked, including elderly men, black women, by BLM supporters, or at least they're wearing BLM apparel. It just seems like the left is still intent on their violence, while the rest of us are intent on peace and doing it the proper way through the legal process. So with that, I want to let you guys know, I really thank you so much for everything that you do. If you like what I'm doing in this channel, again, please click the like and subscribe button and that bell icon so you don't miss any future content. And if you want to join us again, please, again, click that subscribe button and, tell your friends, share with your friends what we're trying to do. And I'll try and put more content out there again, maybe some shorter videos, maybe some live streams. Again, sorry for the lack of videos out there, but I will be doing better at that as we get more streamlined, as the news comes in a more concise manner. But again, there is so much I'm not telling you that it is totally incredible. But just check our Parler. That will be the pulse of where we are. We try to put things out, again, as quickly as possible, but that are not quite over the edge in terms of realism. We don't want to put bad stuff out there because it makes us look bad and it gives false expectations. We don't want to do that either. So with that, I hope you guys have a good day, and we will see you guys next time.